So,
yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Eric. Yes. This is how I start everything now.
So Eric, yes.
So Eric. Okay. You're from the Midwest. I'm
Yes.
from the Midwest.
Yes.
And now none of us are in the Midwest.
No, we all moved out of there because it's cold. It's freezing.
Well, yeah, we're northern Midwest. I mean, it's freezing.
Yeah, it's not. It's really not healthy.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. It's not normal, right? Is that better? Yeah.
I tell my parents, how did we live there for so long?
You know what's funny though? I look back and like when I think back in my childhood, I think I was doing donuts and cars and stuff.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of memory of being like. I do have a memory of like putting a water like cup of water because bottles didn't exist in the 70s and 80s, right? So, and I grew up in this house that my parents refused to actually pay like to have heat. So we had like wood burning stoves.
Really?
Yes, that would, when at a certain temperature, would blow a fan, and that was like our primary heating source.
Oh,
well, and if the fire went out, right, and this is in the winter, there was one time with some friends over or whatever, and we had a water bottle, just a glass of water, and it froze in the house.
You're kidding.
No, that's but I know that happened, but I don't remember it being something awful.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just being a kid in Iowa.
Chilly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just cold.
Just chilly. It's just a little
But
chilly.
now that we know,
yeah,
the South, like anything below, yeah, it's not good.
No. I remember going out to the bus stop and my eyelashes would freeze and my hair would freeze because I would just take a shower right before.
Well, so you left early, right? Like 18. So I spent a large part of my adulthood in Chicago, which is, there's Midwest cold that you're from, and then there's Chicago cold.
Right.
And that is mostly it's not because of the Windy City thing. Everybody's wrong on that. It's because that was like them talking. But the wind is real because of the buildings, and it is brutal. I mean, brutal in a way that it's hard to get your head around. In January, it's 30 below, and you're walking to work because you have to take public transportation because it's Chicago, and you walk that block, and it is frozen mustache, like it's like you're in Alaska. It's the worst. Anyway, I do not miss it. I do miss Chicago though.
Yeah, I miss summers.
In Chicago are great.
Yeah,
they're beautiful. Summers.
Summertime.
Yeah, it's like
go out
here
on the lake.
in, what is it? March? Yeah.
It's March. It's 80 degrees. This is much more my
It's
style.
hard for me, even like being in the South, to not want to move to California sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then there's the whole $2 million home taxes and stuff. That's kind of
It's
kept
a little
me.
crazy here.
And then the driving.
Yeah, lots of driving. Lots of traffic.
I drove in last night when I flew in, and I drove from just at 8 o'clock. And traffic wasn't that bad. It's the random people that are going 90.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Right.
And you're like, everything's great. And all of a sudden it's like, and you're like, holy jeez, what just happened?
And tons of motorcycles too, just passing in between cars.
Lanes. Oh, yeah. God. Anyway, I'm surprised more people don't die. Really, let's just be clear.
I don't even know how many people die. It's probably a lot more than we think.
They just don't talk about it. Right. Keep it up.
Just, shh, that's California. That's the price we pay.
Yeah. So anyway, Chicago is where I cut my teeth as an adult.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love Chicago. It's kind of my home. I still miss it and still love it.
Yeah.
I miss a lot of things about it, but except the cold part,
I do miss the people from the Midwest.
Yes. There's definitely, we were talking about this earlier, that, I feel personally, like in North Carolina where I live now, I feel a little bit out of place. Just a little, not like, more like I'm looking inward.
Yeah.
Less here though. Do you know what I mean? I think that in California, it's because it's such a melting pot. I think there's more, everybody's kind of looking that same boat, you know what I mean? But in North Carolina is, you don't want to go out too far in the country. I love North Carolina though. It's like my daughter. We moved there when she was 3, so now she's 12, and it's like that's her home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, weird.
Yeah.
But
okay. So
anyway,
you're in North Carolina, and you make microphones now.
I do. I have. Yeah. I've been making microphones as a company now for almost 4 years, 3 years, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah,
but
it kind of just happened.
Before that too.
Well, before
DIY,
yes, exactly. So I kind of got started making capsules. First microphone, just because I was too cheap to buy one, right? So I went looked on the internet. I was like, somebody's figured this out. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I do not need to figure this one out. Somebody did this. So of course I found this website called Group DIY. They're it's really a good community of people that, build all kinds of gear. And I found somebody that had a printed circuit board that was ready to just, all you had to do is just like put in a puzzle. I didn't know anything about electronics, right? So I build this mic, and I have a cousin who lives in Wisconsin, oddly enough. And he is an electronics engineer. He's been doing it his whole life. He's like, it's his profession. And so I call him when I'm like getting ready to start building this thing. So I send him like the schematic, and I'm like, hey, Ryan, can you help me? I just want to understand what's going on here. He's like, dude, do you know what? This will kill you if you're not careful. I was like, wait, what?
Are you kidding?
And he's like, no, it's like 300 volts of DC because it's a tube mic, and people don't really think about that much often. But on these fancy tube mics that you guys enjoy singing into, is 300 volts of DC that will drop you like a sack of potatoes if you're not careful. So that's one thing I was like, oh, he's like, don't put two hands in there. Just use one.
Oh, wow.
And grab something in case it does, so it doesn't come across your chest.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he was very serious about it. So that was my first mic. I built it, and I bought another capsule from like China, and didn't really. I used it quite a bit, did some recording and stuff, and liked it. But then I come from a jeweler background.
Okay.
I grew up. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I was a jeweler myself professionally for a very short amount of time till I was like 20 maybe.
Holy cow.
Yep. And so, but I also,
that's a Midwest experience.
it really, what is,
Holy cow.
holy jeez. Yeah. So I grew up in a jewelry store. My grandparents owned one for 50 plus years.
Oh my gosh.
And in my hometown in Independence, Iowa, super small town, 6,000 people. And that was like daycare. So I would go there, and then I learned how to, like fix gold rings and solder and stuff. And then, in high school, I actually worked there full time as a jeweler. So I was very comfortable with metal, right? In terms of like just knowing I felt good about that. I was like, oh, this is nothing more than making a flat ring.
Right?
That's what I thought to myself. So I naively, there were some guys on the same website, Group DIY, that some guys had gone down that road of building their own capsules. So I just kind of on the heels of what that guy did. And oddly enough, I think they're still somehow being made, that same capsules, an M7 style capsule. And I literally made it with a Dremel drill press, like the jankiest thing ever. And I like printed out I printed out the pattern, and I set the depth, and I, should I pause for the kid?
We got kids.
It's all right. Am I not in front of it enough? Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Just getting the eyes. Right.
That's what she's doing to me. Oh. Close the door. We're filming. Can you close the door, please? Yeah, that's our youngest.
She seems maybe stubborn-headed, maybe a little bit.
Maybe they may or may not be Johnny's kids. I don't know. Yeah, they're definitely take after him.
That's awesome. That's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
It's his. That's how you know.
They're yours, Dave.
They're yours. There's no question in that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so what was I saying?
Dremel.
Dremel drill press thing. It was like the jankiest thing ever. You like crank a Dremel tool when I got the drill bits the right size, and I hand drilled it. I found a guy that had the Mylar, because that's the hard thing to get, the hardest thing to get, right? So I tried all these Group DIY channels. It didn't work out. I ended up finding a guy in Canada that reskinned. And I tried to think, Doug Walker. He's still, I think, maybe does some skinning work. Anyway, he was kind enough to give me some skins.
Wow.
Right? So I built this capsule, and I made it, and it worked. And I was like, wow, it worked. I was so stoked. I was like so surprised. But then I realized that the whole Dremel thing was really dumb.
Yeah.
And didn't work very good, I spent the next 2.5 years building a CNC control machine, right? That computer controlled drill, essentially, that would drill the holes for me.
Yeah.
Right. Much easier path. I thought so. And I was, again, naive about the whole situation. It's just, in hindsight, I would never have done this.
Right. Well, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly. So I was just like, I'll just do this. It'll be easy
it.
out the internet. Right. Anyway, so and I was like, okay, 2.5 years later, no mics, nothing. I didn't touch them. I didn't do anything. I spent 2.5 years focused, sort of hobby shift, serial hobbyist. Right. So I kind of shifted to the CNC thing and spent way more money than you should if you would just have bought one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You might, yeah. Anyway, so that situation happened and I felt really guilty about it because we had a brand new baby and I'm like, I spent way too much money.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell capsules to help fund it.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm just going to do this because I built this machine to do that thing. I'm going back. So I did that. Went on Group DIY, I did a page and I started selling capsules. And along with, oddly enough, my first capsule I built, early on, it was for an 87. So it was like an 87 style capsule. And I went on Group DIY and bragged about it. Of course, that's what you do. Right? You know, look at me, I'm awesome. And then a buddy that a guy I hadn't met at the time, named Dave Wheeler, who found me and was like, I just built an 87 with this Chinese capsule and I'm in Chicago. And I was like, I'm in Chicago. And it ends up being like less than a mile away from my house. I invite him over. We like nerd out and shoot out the mics. You know, it's super fun. We, of course, now he's still with Heiserman. He's a partner. And yeah, which is really cool.
That's
right?
So fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. And he is basically the engineer behind all of the new mics that we make. Right. So it's like anything that we build, we have to go through all kinds of, because we make all the PCBs ourselves. All the bodies are made ourselves. Everything is manufactured in the US. So there's a lot of drawing in computers, SolidWorks type drawing, and then all the PCB work. And Dave does all that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I couldn't do it without him,
of course,
to be honest.
Yeah.
And then another guy that I worked with, that I met, so kind of rewinding, Dave, awesome. I established that, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Dave's the best.
David's the best. Yeah, he really is. And we make Chicago capsules, blah, blah, blah. I moved to North Carolina for my day job, which is in the finance kind of technology, right? Finance, fintech, I guess they call it, right? So I'm
fintech.
Ooh, isn't it a fun term? Fintech, that's what they call it.
Sounds like something in Finland.
Right? It's just a better way of saying something stupid, right? Because nobody knows what it means anyway. You might as well shorten it, right? Yeah. So I moved from Chicago because in Chicago, you either move to the burbs when you have a kid that's 3 or you move somewhere else. And we took the move somewhere else route. So I went and worked for Deutsche Bank in North Carolina. And when I moved there, the capsule business really started to pick up. And there is a company that I just won't mention just because there was some bad things happened and I don't want to like point it out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to respect both parties and not mention the other company. But I did a bunch of capsule work for them, OEM capsule work, hundreds of capsules. And at that time, I just couldn't, with the day job and a kid and blah, 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 I couldn't really do both. So I hired a guy locally in North Carolina. His name is Matt, who is also now a partner. So it's all three of us kind of make Heiserman Audio, even though the name is me, mostly because it's a cool German name.
Yeah.
You know?
It is a cool name.
Yeah, it's right. It sounds very German. So why not use that?
Why
Even
not?
though, anyway. So I wanted,
It started with you.
It did. It was my, I mean, at least from that part of it, it's like I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gotten into the capsule thing. Just it wasn't my naive sort of nature. Like, I'm going to do this. Why not? Right. Because I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have done anything, but there's credit there. But Dave really at the early stages really helped me fine tune it because Dave has a really good ears. He's a really good engineer, like from an audio perspective. So his ears was like, oh yeah, that's what we gotta, because there's all kinds of things you do to a capsule to make them sound good. And really we kind of learned together on how to make that better. Even though I am the primary person that skins all the capsules, even though I don't assemble them, all the mics, because Dave does a lot of the internal assembly and then Matt does final assembly and like QC and all that stuff. But I still build every capsule.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's too much sometimes.
Yeah.
So It's a lot of work. It really
Yeah.
is. And especially because I have a full-time day job and, so I do as best I can, but it slows.
So you're not hiring your 12-year-old to like sit in there with
Oh
you?
no, I have in the past. No, she's just not that, she wants more money than I pay my real employees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a
Exactly.
funny story. Avery one time was working doing yard work with Johnny, and he was like, "So we didn't talk about your rate for today." And she was like, "Yeah, we didn't. So what do you think you want?" This is an 8-year-old, by the way. She goes, "Well, you could pay me $20 an hour."
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then he goes, "Huh, that's that's kind of a lot." And she was like, "Or you could pay me 60."
Oh, okay.
So I think we'll go with 20 then.
Yeah, that sounds good. 20's good. Wait till she's 12 and gets into Lululemon.
Oh boy.
100, 200.
Yeah,
It's just, anyway, that's
That's
somewhere
another
we don't need to
topic.
go. Yeah.
That's our
Lululemon.
parenting podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, have fun, guys.
Okay, so you're
So capsules,
building capsules
yeah.
for everyone.
So, yep. 100 capsules doing OEM work. And then we said, nope, done doing that. Let's start building our own mics. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when it really kind of like,
So when 4 years ago is maybe 4 or 5 years ago is when you started actually
yeah, 3 years. I'm trying to remember. I think it's, 4 years ago. I think I started like as official company, Heiserman Audio LLC, and like did all the paperwork and that kind of stuff. And then we came out with our FET, our H47 is what we call it, oddly enough. A lot of debate over that, by the way. Way too much, but H47. And then after that, we came out with the tube, the H47 tube version, of course, which is the one that you guys kind of started your thing with, and then now we're coming out with a 251.
Ooh.
Which is the next new toy.
Okay.
And then we also have a couple of our own design. Well, one right now, it's going to be two shortly, but a Type 19 is what we call it. And that was because it came out in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is also, it's interesting how that came around. We had the FET mic, the 47 FET, which is kind of the normal outside kick thing. Everybody loves it on drums, blah, blah, blah. And then I had an engineer out of Asheville came in contact with us, just kind of, when you're a mic guy in any state, they find you, So the engineer in the bunch, there's actually quite a surprising number of studios in North Carolina, but so he contacted and was like, you guys should come out with a FET 47 that is like, you could use on a tom mic and not worry about bashing in your $3,000 mic. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So that's kind of how the Type 19 was born.
Interesting.
Which is just super simple, and it's our own design. It's tough. It's it's 100% aluminum but without a head basket. Kind of, it looks kind of like a razor almost. But it's really tough. The capsule sort of shock mounted, so you can bash it with a stick and not really hurt it too bad. It might bend a couple little tines or whatever, but it's not going to like destroy it. And that's been really a popular mic. It's been really good. It sounds amazing on toms. It's great on outside kick. A lot of guys here in town actually use them, and that's a cool mic. But the 251 we're just working hard on that because it's a lot of pieces. And
is that right there?
That's it. This is the one and only prototype right now.
I love it so much.
It's pretty,
It's
isn't it?
really pretty.
Yeah.
Who helps you pick the coloring, the design?
Well, this is a reproduction of an original.
Okay.
I think it's AKG, right? Yeah, 251.
Yeah.
The ELA M251. Actually, Telefunken, I think, was the one that originally came out with, maybe. Anyway, so this is a historically correct inside and out. So the color is actually, this one is too green. This is like, again, the prototype. We were trying to match it.
I love the green.
You like it? It's a little too green. The other one's a little bit more creamy colored. No, but but
I'll take this one.
that will make people angry. By the way, if you're off just slightly,
Yeah, no, I
they
know.
will. You
I
know what
know.
I mean? You
I
can't.
know.
I'll say that's a very interesting phenomena when you start a company and you're doing something reproduction wise.
Yeah.
People want it to look a certain way, and also we went as far as the I've done capsules. I've done the 47 style, 87, 67, and the C12 style. Historically, up until we're going to release this mic, my C12 was based on a lot of American like size screws, and it didn't really look the part, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But it really sounded good. It was all built internally the same. All the internal structures were the exact same, but the screws I used and some of the plastics I used looked a little bit different than the original one from the 60s or 50s or whatever.
And so of course,
So
everyone
that
gets all
they
bent
don't
out of
people
shape.
don't like that.
Yeah.
So this now I kind of reverted back to that, and we are machining them just like the original, and it's the cast acrylic, and all this right little screws and all the red on the out, everything looks right. So that's also what I'm doing in that. Yeah.
I love this color.
You do like it.
Yeah, I like it.
So it's a little bit like it's a little green.
It is.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a good color.
Like this right here is like what interior designer dreams are made of.
Oh, really?
Like,
It's
these are,
and
like,
that's
the hip
what's
colors.
what's cool about this. Looks from the 50s.
Yeah,
That design
yeah.
is. And here, like since we're talking about this
Yeah.
mic, this is the best part. Maybe we should slowly. So that is also sort of
Wow.
all of the internals are like the ones from the 50s as well.
It's just so pretty.
Yeah, and then here this is one thing that's kind of cool is that the head comes off, which is what the original design was like. Was to have this so you could just hot swap it.
Yeah.
In the field sort of thing. So yeah, and this is all this mechanism inside the head basket's it's crazy hard to do, and a lot of ejection molding, a lot of all these. I think I counted the other day when we were sending off like to get all the parts made. It's 22 individual little metal parts inside this head basket that are all separate machining operations that you have to
Crazy.
find. Yeah, and that's it's a challenge.
Yeah.
For sure. We're hoping to come out with this by end of second quarter would be nice, and there's going to be only a handful
For
of them.
NAMM?
I would love to have I want a production prototype for NAMM. I don't know if we're going to have production.
All right.
There's not going to be that many of them. I think we're going to only build like 45 to begin with. But unlike the model that we've taken in the past of like ordering stuff was like, you give us $500, we'll build you a mic. It might take us X amount of time. The pandemic has really made that more difficult.
Of course.
And then people are buying more gear than ever, which is in the pandemic. So it's been like this weird supply chain / dealing with machinists and cost of metal rising and all this stuff. So it's been a little bit a longer time to deliver mics than I would prefer if I'm taking a down payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So this one, we're going to build them all. We're going to build 45 mics. We're not going to take pre-orders, and then we're just going to sell them. So there's only going to be a handful. We're going to build more, of course, but that's going to be sort of the first run.
Yeah.
Is the 45. So
Well, you can just leave this one here.
okay. Well, hopefully you guys get to use it and play with it a little bit. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. We'll hopefully let you guys listen to it. The one really cool thing that is like one thing we found when we were going down this road was that all the transformers we tried were not right. And this is getting a little mic nerdy. I know we're not really. I'm
Nerd
trying
out,
to
dude.
avoid
Nerd
the nerding,
out.
but so transformers make a huge difference. They really do.
Yeah.
They make a crazy difference, and any good mic nerd will say that, right? But I mean, it's a whole system. But when we built the great capsule, we know that sounds right. The electronics are all historically accurate. The tubes, everything's great, and another mic company has a lock on the Hofa company's version of the transformer that's using that microphone. Again, out of respect for that mic company, I won't say who they are.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. Anyway, so that transformer isn't available. And honestly, we actually got a hold of one and it didn't sound right. So we had some really good examples out of Nashville because East Coast thing, Nashville's closer than LA. So we've kind of used that to our advantage. But it just didn't sound right. And then so we went to a couple other some of the guys that are known in the Cinemag and AMI and some others, and we tried them all and they just weren't right. And I was here in LA and shot it out against some other ones and it just wasn't quite right. And then over the last year, we were lucky enough to find another guy overseas that went to the length of like disassembling every vintage version of this transformer and then getting the metal figured out, like the metallurgy of each lamination, because they're like these little and he like went way over and we're like, you exist, number one, and number two, we need 100 of them. And he did. So we did that and we put that in, and we actually had a really good example that Dave Perlman was kind enough to give to me as a test to put in the mic, and it's perfect. So
really?
Yeah, now I'm like super excited for people to hear it because it's like ridiculously good sounding mic. So
good.
I'm really happy about it. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll have 45 of those. And then your other things, are they selling pretty well right now?
Yeah. That's, I mean, honestly, it's, we're lucky to have all of our 47, the 47 tube mic has gotten really popular. So we got lucky with a guy named Craig Alvin, who is a producer in Nashville. He used a bunch of Heiserman, not capsules and mics and other stuff on Casey Musgraves. You know Casey Musgraves, the one she got the Golden Hour album? He did that and got 2 Grammys for that. And of course, as he exploded, sort of kind of Heiserman did, because we of course gave him one. Right. We're like, we love you, Craig. You're our buddy. Here you go. And so now that has really turned into other guys making records, you know, and then LA, I came out a year ago and I have I've got some really good hands on our mics, and like Joe Ciccarelli got to take it and used it on some stuff. And then I've got Rob Schnaff, who used it on a couple things, actually used it on a whole record for pretty much all last summer. And then a bunch of guys are then of course buying them from that. So now the orders have become a bit overwhelming, but we can't complain about that. And Vintage King picked us up, which is great news. So that's really fun. So it's exciting, and I'm very happy. And someday I'll get to quit my day job. Right. That's what I want to retire. You know,
that's the dream.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Right. To get to do it full time, because it's a challenge.
It's become
a
lot.
Yeah. It's just, you know, my job is demanding, and my day job is demanding, and I owe them the courtesy to give that to them full time. Right.
Yeah,
so I have to balance, you know, which is a struggle sometimes, but my guys, you know, the team really does a really good job. So we're working, and we're coming out with new mics. Again.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So you got this one coming out this year. Do you have anything else coming out this year?
Yeah. So the Type 19 mic is based on the 47 capsule, the same capsule that's in the Fat and in the tube mic, right? Same style capsule, which is unique. I should mention that too. It's kind of an interesting story. But we're going to come out with a Type 21.
Ooh.
Really creative, right? That is the same mic, same circuit and everything. We're just going to put a C12 capsule in it.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be more like a 414 style. It's no transformer. It's transformerless. It's super clean circuit. Not much about it. Just got a big, nice pad, and, you know, all 3 patterns, figure of 8, omni, cardioid, and then a low cut. That's it. So it's simple, but they sound kind of, I think personally, I'm going to say this, and some people can take this. I hope they listen. It is the best sounding mic we make, I think.
Oh, wow.
And it's also the cheapest.
Really?
It's the cheapest one. And it's killer. It sounds so good. Yeah. And it's weird because everybody's, with tubes and transformers. It has none of that. It's like super simple. And, but it's
streamlined.
It has, I never forget I'm a drummer, and I have a kit set up always. And I made it I want it to be a drum mic, you know, and it's way more than that. It sounds great on voice. It sounds great on guitar. I had one of these guys, a guitar player in Nashville, used it on acoustic and was like, hands down the best acoustic sound he's ever had. Yeah. So I've had a lot of really good feedback. Yeah. But I put it in front of a kick drum, and I just did some tests. And I have a sub, of course, on my setup at home, and I have an old school board. It goes down to 30 hertz on like really low, and it was super loud at that frequency, which is not common. That's super low for a mic to pick up that low. And it was just went on forever. So people that have really used them, there's a guy in Nashville again, his has a studio that's, Jonathan Cain from Journey, the keyboard player,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's his studio. It's called Addiction Studios. He's like, I'm never taking that mic off the kick drum.
Wow.
It's like, that's where it's going to live.
That is a compliment.
Yeah. And I think he has a pair of them, right? So anyway. We've had some challenges.
We have had some challenges.
I think we should
today.
all leave it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There should be not any editing.
This is why we need a studio. I mean,
I know it. I was hoping that we could get in a
puppy.
studio. You can
Hi,
come
puppy.
visit us.
Yeah,
This is
we've got
very
dogs.
sweet.
We've got kids.
Very
We have the neighbor putting on a new roof today.
Yes. Somebody's going to have fun editing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, man. Grab that Type 19 lighter over there. It's one of the bags. I want to show that off.
Diana, go on.
You lay down. You can lay down.
Look at her.
Yeah, go lay down.
You want to go up the couch?
What a very good dog. Oh, okay, cool. I'll show one of them off.
Okay, what is this?
This is the Type 19. This is, you haven't seen it, but that's the Tom White
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing I want. It uses a standard 57 clip.
That's so nice.
So that's just, so you can.
I wish more people would
Right?
incorporate
Because
that.
it's just like, oh,
Everybody has that, right?
This, screw it on.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy. Anyway, super simple. And then, this is funny. This H logo, you can see it. It actually glows blue when you turn it on.
Oh.
Now, hold on. This is not for, the only reason it does that is because, little LEDs are also diodes, and it's part of the voltage regulation, and it's part of the circuit.
Interesting.
And it was, before we put the H in there, which is all just a little bunch of holes, we use those lights because they're just super cheap and they're easy to get.
Yeah.
And, it was like kind of glowing up into the head basket.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't want that. It looks funny. So when we put the holes there and we do a little piece of diffuser film there, it actually just glows from there. And it's cool. But it's really funny that Addiction Studios, where I mentioned before, they have a pair of these, and one of the techs there, one of the guys that I think he might even be a full engineer, was on a forum saying that he loved the Type 19. It's the greatest, but he just really doesn't like the glowing H.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go in there and clip those lights. I'm like, don't do that. It's actually, we'll break the mic.
the microphone.
It will not work anymore after that.
So funny.
Yeah. So, but it's a little kitschy, but it works.
Well, it's doing what it's designed to do.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that we're going to make the Type 21 with the C12. It's going to glow red. We're just going to go with it. Why not? Right.
It's already happening. Just
You
let
might as
it
well
happen.
just go with it, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then you'll know which one you got, right? Mm-hmm. You got the 19 or the 21.
Yeah. Well,
Give me the blue one, guy. Give me the blue one.
It's going to be silver.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it's going to be like polished, not polished. I don't know. Don't take that for, maybe I'm not going to do that. I don't know. It might not look as cool in my head as it really looks in
Right.
person. Then you have to make some choices, right? So anyway, and the other mics that we're talking about doing would be a small diaphragm condenser. That's something that a lot of people ask for.
Yeah. Have you made any?
We've done a lot of repairs and things of that nature, but I think we're most likely going to try a nickel capsule, which is the nickel skin.
Is it more tricky?
So so it's not, unlike a regular diaphragm capsule, it's usually a mylar. That's got like a gold coating on it to make it conductive, right? This is actually nickel foil that's under a micron thick. It's just super
Wow.
Yeah. And the way it's hard to get, so you have to kind of figure out how to make it. And then, so we would like to do that.
Yeah.
The reality of making that into a production mic might be a little bit more challenging than I think.
You're like, I made one and that's gonna
good.
be it.
Yeah, I can do that one once, Yeah, so we'll see. That would be the idea, would be that kind of mic. I know, I don't know if we'll make it a clone necessarily some of the other ones. I kind of want to move forward out of the clone world a little.
I can understand why. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets a little tricky and expensive, and people don't want to pay $12,000 for a microphone, and that's some places are going that a new mic can cost that much money these days, which I think is a little bit ridiculous, but you can, if, hopefully if we do our own design, it keeps the cost down.
Right.
Because American manufacturing, although sounds great and it's expensive.
It is.
It's
It
very
is.
expensive. Yeah. So for me, it's kind of like, if I'm going to go through the capsules and making that and really go that far and being that, cause that's kind of my thing, that the rest should follow.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
It should be yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just using some other people. But the bodies are the most challenging part. Capsules I can get machines and made, but the body work, man. I get why 90% of the other mic companies just go to China.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. I mean, it really does. It's hard to make money doing it any other way, but I don't know. I'm a fool.
I love it.
From
and
the
I don't
Midwest.
care what you say.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to make money. Why would I want to do that?
Nah.
Nah.
That's why you got a day job for now.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pay the other guys. That's what I'm doing,
Yeah.
sadly. But,
Yeah, yeah.
just paying everybody else. I
Well,
get to come to LA every once in a while.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
going to come back for NAMM?
I am. I'm not going to have a booth this year, probably.
Yeah.
It's just, I got to dip the toe in the water.
Logistics. Yeah.
More about, it's expensive.
It is.
NAMM is crazy expensive. And it's like, not knowing how many people are going to be there, not knowing what it's going to be like, not knowing if there's going to be
It's going to be summer this time, which is
that's going to
random.
be weird and hot and so I don't know if the but I'm going to probably come with some mics and put them in. I've got some friends in the audio world that Audioscape. Are you guys familiar with Audioscape? No. A little shout out to
don't think
Audioscape.
so.
They're guys in Florida.
Escape.
They are a really cool company. They're out of Florida, and they do use a lot of manufacturing from other countries, but they keep all that cost really low. Countries. They keep their costs really low, but they all manufacture it. They still assemble it all in Florida, and they do it again sort of like a batch model, which is cool. But there's all really good gear and it's really cheap. But and he's a super cool guy. So I think we're gonna have some mics up through his gear in his booth, some little flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
And, hopefully help him out.
We all got to stick together.
We do. COVID. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what else was I going to say? I know what I want to say. You ready for this? Okay. So the 47 capsule, people think that mine is different.
Okay.
I don't know if a lot of people know that, but when I first started doing the capsule thing, I was machining them all in my house, right? And I had a lathe, and I would just disc the brass off, myself, and then do it. So then my first step of manufacturing was to I found a machinist that would just make the brass disc for me with the groove and all the holes drilled and tapped, because that's really hard to do by hand. It's just time consuming. But these CNC machines are done, So he was giving me these blank pieces of brass that then I would drill the holes on. What was cool about that, I could drill different patterns, but the thickness of the sides are the same, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing 87s and 67s with that. But I was like, I wanted to do a 47 style capsule, which is a totally different thing. It is one piece of metal. Okay. I'm going to nerd out again for you. Hold on tight. Okay, you ready? So, an M7's weird little hole pattern. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It looks weird. It looks random.
Yeah.
It's not. So the reason it's like that is because the metal is only 6 millimeters thick. The holes go 4 millimeters deep.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So the holes can't be in the same spot, or they'll run into each other.
Yeah.
So if you took all the holes on an M7 and drilled them all the way through, you'd hold it up, there'd be concentric circles of holes, just all tick, 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 tick. They're just missing each other.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's hard to do on a home CNC machine.
Of course.
Because they're so close together.
Yeah.
What would happen is I would drill and one would be like, and hit the next one, and I'd have a hole and you could see it, and it wouldn't work. Right. So I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my back plates that I made, the little brass ones that I had made by my machinist friends.
Yeah.
They're 4 millimeters thick. I'm just going to drill that pattern, but I can't go as deep, but I need the same air volume. So I didn't go as deep, but I calculated the volume calculation, which is super easy. It's like 6th grade math. And I made the hole shallower, but bigger. Right. And then I did all the same through holes, and I just did it twice, and then I sandwich them together. So it's actually 8 millimeters thick.
Huh.
But it's the same hole pattern.
It's the same idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So then it just screws together.
Yeah.
And that's the capsule I still make today. And for some reason, I think I'm not like sciencey enough to like get into like a lab coat and like figure out why.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the reason it sounds better.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it does.
Yeah.
I think that there's some qualities that people recognize on that capsule that really makes these mics sort of stand out. And it's like, I think it has a lot to do with like, sort of the way that the rejection, the pattern works because it's a thicker capsule. I don't know. It's a guess. I'm not, like I said, I have no idea if that's really real. Don't hold me to it. But
I did some math and I drilled some holes.
That's all I did.
Sounds fine.
No, I'll be honest. I didn't think it was going to work. And I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, so but now I probably build more of that capsule than anything else. And it's kind of unique. Yeah. In fact, I have somebody who uses it in another product too. And that's been kind of licensed as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah. I'm happy
that's
about
cool.
that. Yeah.